Rwandan deportations. Give me a moment. Just pulling up the articles. So, the courts have decided a decision on Rwandan deportation policy has been delayed until September, but the Home Office has refused to rule out more flights before then. A decision on legal challenges to the government's controversy Rwanda deportation policy has been delayed until September, with the Home Office refusing to say if it will still attempt to remove all flights in the meantime. In what they said was a win for the due process and fairness, charities take the government to court over the scheme, saying that the Divisional Court has granted an appeal to adjourn the cases for several weeks. Detention Action said no forced removal flights of asylum seekers to Rwanda should take place until the court makes a decision. Now, the reason that the British government are going to disregard this is because without the Supreme Court's judgmental position in place, there is very little we can do as the British public and those who want to stop these deportations from applying across the UK. And the fundamental reason behind this is because even though we are signatories towards the European Human Rights Act, the European Human Rights Act cannot be enforced without a signatory's assistance without other means. You see, now no longer being part of the economical model, we are no longer able to be, politically coerced into doing what is politically correct, morally correct in upholding human rights. But the problem being is many people tend to use human rights as a kind of a bashing shield. Oh, human rights have gotten soft. No, we are protecting people's human rights regardless what they are, regardless of their circumstances, regardless of where, how, and when they behave in such a manner. And the problem with the Rwandan issue is you can guarantee it'll be, and I don't mean this in a derogatory term, they're not deporting Ukrainians, they're not deporting white people from the Netherlands or from Germany. They're deporting brown people. Let's just call it what it is. That they're deporting my brothers and sisters. They're deporting many of the POCs across the entire area. And they're doing this because fucking racist. They are fucking racist. The entire British political elite are racist. And I stand by what I say in that regard. And I know that might be a little bit on the controversial side. But the whole Rwandan deportation thing is disgusting. The whole thing is disgusting. So let's call it what it is. It's a dog whistle designed to call people to attract, we're getting serious with immigration. No, you're not. You're putting a few disadvantaged, poor little bastards who have nothing to their name, who came to Britain to want to do a better lifestyle and a better world because their homelands have been bombed by the fucking West. I know, I shouldn't swear, I apologise. It just makes me angry. Every time some dog-whistling right-wing psychopath decides to start talking about how the Rwandan policy is the right step in the right direction. To be Lama Shaitana regime. Like you have any idea what it's like to have nothing, to watch your home be bombed for your warlord fucking leader to nod every time the oil baron Americans turn up. Yeah? How about you have a look at some of the countries your government interns in? It's mad. It's mad, Mohan. Absolutely insane. People should not be deporting human beings. They're human fucking beings. They have a right to be in a country that doesn't involve them getting tortured, murdered, or beaten up for their religious beliefs, or they're just wanting to have a family and mind their own business. Yeah? Why do they all keep coming to the European countries? Because you keep fucking bombing their homelands. Why do I live here and not in Belfast? Because the British imperialism exists, and I'm white. I am a fucking white man. Start talking about this. I know I shouldn't swear. And I do apologise to the people who will watch this later. But as a white Northern Irishman, I know exactly how my coloured friends feel. You know? I genuinely do. It frustrates everybody who was born in Belfast and had to leave because of the Troubles. Troubles ultimately caused by the British Empire. As per usual, the British Empire, the American Empire, the European Federation, they are all empires. And they don't give a shit about minorities. And they've proven it time and time and time again. This is why the modern Chinese nation is built on that modelling system. It's why they think they can get away with it so much. So the idea that deportations towards Rwanda are just sickening. And I don't think that the appeals office is going to do anything. Because ultimately they don't have the power to. And even if they complain that it's against human rights, the Home Office could, with the power of the Prime Minister. This is why it's so important who is going to be the next Prime Minister. It's brutally how important it is. And I know many of us won't have a say, because many of us aren't the 200,000 Tories, but let us be realistic. We could really do with a moderate now. You know, someone who isn't ravingly Brexit, psychotically fucking anti-human. I mean, I'm white. I'm literally white. As pasty as this heat is killing me, white. And I have problems going home to Belfast because of British imperialism. White, English-speaking, Belfastian Irish, and I can't go home. And that is an example of British imperialism. And yet then when you take into account these same problems that exist in the same kind of conceptual positions with our POC brothers and sisters, they are no different from us. The people of colour are no different from the white Irish who lost their homelands because of the fucking troubles caused specifically by British Empire interference. Literally by British imperial interference. Dating back to way into the 18th century, where they had divide and conquer politics. When everyone starts saying, oh, the troubles were caused by the Republicans in the 1910s and 1920s. It has nothing to do with the Republicans. It has everything to do with how Britain ruled its colonies. The British Empire was vile in that regard. I mean, they could have locked up the 16 instead of hanging them. They could have done so many different things about the connotations involving my homeland. If anybody's wondering, the 16 is a group of revolutionists from the Republic of Ireland that were hanged, and then the loyalists were jeering when they were being hanged. The reality is much the divide and conquer politics that was implied by the British Empire is still being applied by the British political elite today. And this is the fundamental problem we have. These poor bastards are not our enemies. The fucking political elite are our enemies. These men and women, I assume they're women amongst them, they're doing their absolute best to try and keep themselves alive. They're doing their absolute best to build a better future because the homes that they come from don't have one. And what makes you think Rwanda, that has an amazing human rights behaviour as it is, and this is a key reason why the British government wanted to leave Europe, so it could do nasty, disgusting, politically vile things like this. Knee-jerk reactionism to the Tory far right. I mean, the Tory party aren't even centrists anymore. They're so far away from the centre, it's unreal, beyond real, and it's scary when you look at how we're deporting human beings. We are putting them on planes and sending them to Rwanda. It's not like we're sending them to a civilized part of Africa, like South Africa, you know, or Nigeria, or any of the prosperous parts of Africa. No, we're sending them to little Rwanda, tiny, overpopulated country as it is. Why? Because the British government has given them a bribe money. It doesn't take rocket science to work that out. It frustrates me and deeply irritates me about how our brothers and sisters, and I mean human brothers and sisters, they could be Christian and I wouldn't want them deported. Though being Christian and black in this country would probably mean you would have a better chance at the immigration courts. Call them what they are. Astaghfirullah. Because if you've got a strong pigment in your skin and you happen to follow my faith, the British government's insane. No, the British government's absolutely insane. And Boris isn't even the worst of them. That's the scary thing. Boris Johnson isn't even the worst of them. One of the things about Boris Johnson was his incompetence catered for his craziness. His level of incompetence and lying that irritated many of the competent evil people in Parliament was actually a net benefit, relatively speaking, from the British point of view, because there are far worse people. I would say that Priti Patel and Rishi Sunak are far more devious, far more evil, and far more destructive to this country's leadership capacity than incompetent Boris Johnson. Let's be fair. And I think his incompetence was a shield for us to get a really, really good look at the really nasty parts of the Tory party. And I mean, they're vile. Priti Patel's an absolute, and I can't believe a woman of colour would treat other human beings who have been persecuted like this. She's so disattached to the reality of Britain and its people that she can treat anybody that way when she's the daughter of an immigrant. She's literally the daughter of an immigrant, which begs the belief, absolutely begs the belief. It proves that the Tories can bribe anybody and everybody. And the more and more I look at Tory politics, the more and more, and I'm not young. People say you go more right-wing the older you get, but I'm not. It's quite terrifying because I'm going the opposite direction. I'm turning more left than I am centre, and I've always been an arch centralist. But it's fucked up policies like that deeply anger me in all their aspects. The British political system is an absolute mess, and I give dua that we will have a reasonable politician in power. I don't want. I genuinely don't want Rishi Sunak. I think he is another level of extra evil as a political leader. And I genuinely do hope that Penny Mordaunt comes in, because even though she's military, she seems to be the most sensible member of cabinet that's actually got out there. And it's scary to say that. To be fair, I want them all gone. I'd rather have a Labour government, even if the Labour government is centre-left and is almost like they're blue Tories or blue on red. To be fair, but they would at least be kind enough to be considerate enough to human beings. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, Anonymous. So, in essence, I want a Labour government, but of all the Tories that we've currently got, Penny Mordaunt is the least destructive and psychopathic. Yeah, no, again, Anonymous, snap. But if we have to pick one, she's the least one that's going to do the least amount of damage. Do you get what I'm saying? She's the least crazy of the whole pack of lunatics. Assalamu alaikum, sister. How's New York? Well, assalamu alaikum for everyone else who's joined me. All four of you. Wow. So, yeah, no, involving Penny Mordaunt, I still think she's the best of the bunch. A'udhu billah, we still got to hold on for another 2 years before we get an actual Labour election. And don't anybody hold any illusions. Boris Johnson was backed by his party to get to where we are now. Okay? And let me stand on record. You know, I have voted Tory. I'm going to be completely truthful. I voted Tory. But I fundamentally stand by what I'm saying here. We got to make a best of a bad deal, and Penny Mordaunt's it. None of us are going to have a say, because none of us are part of the 200,000 reactionary over 60-year-old Tory members who get the final say at the end of it. Thank you very much, sister. Assalamu alaikum. But yeah, in all honesty, I fundamentally hope that she does. And you take care, sister. I fundamentally hope, without a shadow of a doubt, that Penny Mordaunt, because if she wins, we may have a moderate in power for a couple of years, which will make it easy for us when we come up to the elections. In my past, Anonymous, yes, I did vote for Tory. When I was young and stupid, yes. So don't do me dirty like that, Sister Lily. A'udhu billahi minash shaitani regime. I've voted it a couple of times because I was young and naive, and when I watched how evil they became as I got older, I then realised that was a mistake. But I fundamentally stand by my point in the point of a bad position, and the idea that Muslims shouldn't vote is absurd. We do not live in a caliphate. Could everyone get away from the idea that Muslims should not vote? Okay? In 2024, report this live. Thank you, sister. A'udhu billahi minash shaitani regime. How are you keeping? Salam. I'm good. I do have a Twitter account, Joe, but I don't use it that often. It's very, very small use, relatively speaking. I do have one. You could look it up. You wouldn't miss me. You know, if you know what my ugly mug looks like, you'll see me because it's plastered on my front page. But yes, I have a Twitter account. It's good to see you, Sister Lily. How are things with your paramour? Are things going well, young lady? You are deeply missed on TikTok, I will tell you that much. But back to the provisional conversation. Penny Mordaunt is the best of a bad batch, and realistically, that's the one we should pin our hopes on. We don't want Liz Taylor. Rishi Sunak's an absolute loony, to be quite honest. And in my honest opinion, Braverman is not a great politician. Again, a nobody. In essence, we realistically want to be pinning our numbers on Penny Mordaunt. She's unquestionably the best of the bad bunch. Oh, you're getting married in August. Oh, do we love a Shitana regime? Where's my invitation? I gotta check your future husband out. Assalamu alaikum. Allah Akbar, sister. Congratulations. I'm glad to hear that you're getting married. But yeah. The current 6 lineup, 5 of them I don't want. 1 of them I want to hold with my nose. Literally, we'll tolerate that for the next 2 years until the election. But if the Tories are smart, demonic app, I've been living with you, your kind soon. Can you believe it? Are you actually going to Belfast? Chancellor thing, print paper, win vote. That's entirely plausible. That's entirely plausible. So you're going to Belfast, sister? Alhamdulillah. Cash cow Sunak. Oh, he's just I don't like him. I don't like his policies. I don't like his politics. I don't like the way he lies. I don't like the way he's backed Boris Johnson for so bloody long. Every single one of those people on that line right now, they all backed Boris Johnson. Oh, the male speech. Well, okay, you're going to have to be a bit more clear about that, Sister Lily, yeah? I want to be Lama Shaitana regime. You're going to have to be a bit clearer because I thought you were going over to Belfast. Best of luck. You'll probably be the only Somalian in Belfast. Probably one of only about 10 black people in Belfast. And that's not because you're not welcome in Belfast. It's just because so few people go to our city. It's cold, it's wet, it's miserable, it's got violent people in it called my cousins. It's not what you'd call a tourist attraction. It has nothing to do with, oh, you see a black, oh, welcome to Belfast. You might want to dodge. There's a hand grenade coming in. The Unionists have started something. So, yeah. In essence, but it's not because we're not inviting people. It's just because it's Belfast. It's not one of those tourist places. It's an honest advertisement, sister. It's not a nice advertisement. It's an honest advertisement. You might want to duck the IRA. They're just coming in on the right-hand side to have a word with the Unionists. And if you're anybody like me and most of my family and stuck in the middle, you don't want to be there. So that's why most people don't go to Belfast. The Irish Muslim can't find it. Can't find what? What can I not find? The government's an absolute shambles, sister. Astaghfirullah. The government is an absolute shambles. And everybody on that list, all 6 of them, all 6 of them, backed Boris Johnson. So in 2 years, when we come to the polls, don't want to see none of you Muslims voting for any of them because they are all Johnson's people. Yeah, I don't like Keir Starmer. I still vote for him so I can get this entire generation of garbage chucked into the bloody bin. In essence, I've got nothing but absolute disgust at the current political establishment, especially with these deportations going to Rwanda. But the current political ballot, I suspect will have Rishi Sunak versus Penny Mordaunt when they have to line up. And as much as I don't want to say this, I'm going to say it, and it's a bit brutal. The racist cards, the racist people of the British Exeters will play in the British people's favour. They'll pick Penny over Sunak. And I know that's stereotyping, and that may not necessarily be the case. But I genuinely think, because of how reactionary the 200,000 members of the British Tory party are, that they'll pick Penny over Rishi simply over skin colour. Sister, that kind of shit's going to start a war. Get married to a man who's got a British passport. Problem solved. Then they can't deport you. They have to have a leasable cause. But you said you're getting married in August, so that's a generable point. Yeah, that's correct. None of the current political leaders are going to benefit. I want to be absolutely sure and clear to everyone who's just joined. Please vote Labour. I know we shouldn't normally vote. I know people have a problem with voting. But I say it now. I would do more than that SLLS. So let's not talk about that, because that's not a pleasant conversation for me. If I saw that woman in the street, oh, the regime, I would be praying in prison. But of the current political leaders we have, I personally think Penny Mordaunt is the most seasonable one that we could possibly get with. And the Muslim community needs to vote. I fundamentally feel that Tommy Robinson's becoming he doesn't need to. That's the problem. Tommy Robinson's already affected the bloody Tory party. They're the party of Tommy Robinson these days. I think, to be fair, Joe, it was a spat. It was a pure spat. It was a punch up between it was a punch up between Boris Johnson and his rival Gove. He wanted to sack Gove as a parting slap in the face to Gove. They've had rivalry since they were teenagers, ever since their Eton days. So no. In a nutshell, it is what it is. The pair of them are peas in a pod. They've been stabbing each other in the back for years. So it's not surprising he did it deliberately for that. But to answer the question, every Muslim needs to vote at the next general election in 2 years. Every single Muslim needs to get up and vote, and we need to vote Labour. And we need to vote en masse to Labour with no reservations, simply to get rid of this Tory party. We have enough of a vote now. There is enough of us Islamically to us to stand up and say everyone needs to vote Labour. And if we do, we can swing 5, 6, 7 seats. Yeah, they're all basically Robinsons. They're Robinsons with suits, and that's the worst part, Bird Nest. They're all Tommy Robinsons with suits. Me becoming Prime Minister. I'd give Ireland back fucking Belfast. They'd never let me in power. All right then, we'll have a power share for 25 years. Belfast, you can go back to Ireland in 25 years. Spain, you can have Grenada in 25 years. Falklands, you can fuck off in 10 years. No one cares about you. You know, that's how I'd be assassinated. I would literally be assassinated. I'll be giving back all the last of the colonial territories. I'd be too busy giving everyone their countries back. I'd tell the Queen to send the royal diamonds back to bloody India. It is the lesser of two evils. Voting Labour is the lesser of two evils. But it is fundamentally necessary. Our apathy has damaged our ability to survive. And since we don't live in a caliphate, we should engage in the democracy we're in. Simply to do the least amount of damage. And no matter how many people dislike Labour Party, I'm not saying I'm a great Labour supporter. They've done some crazy fucking shit I don't like. Their woke side is another whole thing. But they are still better. Labour are still better than the Tories by a train. Yeah, you don't want me as Prime Minister. You wouldn't want me as Prime. Admittedly, the rest of the world will be happy. I'll be giving back all the colonial territories. The British super rich and elite will want me stabbed multiple times. I'll be sending back stolen jewellery and museum pieces. I'd be emptying the Empire's treasure chest and returning them to their rightful places in their countries. I would be the worst Prime Minister this country ever saw. Oh yeah, tarmac. Yeah, throw some tarmac on. True. Bird Nest wants better roads. I could do that. I could fix roads. I could fix the internal problems. I wouldn't go to war. I wouldn't be interested in anybody's war. I'd send a memo on my day one to the American president. Whilst I'm in office, don't ever ask me for any conflict anywhere in the world. The answer is an automatic no. I've got too much shit that the Tories have ignored for 4 decades. that would be an automatic memo for the president of America. Well, Britain's off the table. I mean, it's fundamentally true. That's the reality. That's the fundamental reality. Tarmac. But it is what it is. I would not in any way, shape or form be interested in foreign affairs. If on a theoretical situation, we need to have our own Muslim-based, Muslim original political party. Okay, I know it won't work for 100 years, maybe after 100 years. What do you think about Plato, Plato the philosopher? Dr. Seuss, Plato the philosopher was a great philosopher for his time period. No, I don't think we need a political party. Realistically, it would be throwing money after wasted money, not in a first past the post system. We need the British people. In essence, it is not financially viable for us as Muslims to waste our money on a political party in a first past the post system. Okay, the system prevents us. The political system we live in prevents us from ideally building our own political system. And the reason we can't build our own political system is because the first past the post system incentivizes people to clump together. So without each region being able to actually win votes, fair enough, bird nest. But the political system that we have, it's not financially viable or interchangeable for us to do that. And the reason I say that, and the fundamental reason I say that, is because first past the post is designed to de-incentivize new parties. This is why UKIP struggled, even though it was doing brilliantly with many of the reactionists, and got the Tories frightened because margins are so small. For a Muslim party to be a viable, we'd need more than 10% of the population, and we're not even at 4%. Do you understand what I'm saying? The building a political party at this time period is absolutely money wasting. In 50 years, not so money wasting, but today, absolute money wasting. And if we got a direct representation democracy, you'd have a far more interesting argument. And I would probably stand in a direct representation democracy on Islamic values, but we don't. We live in a system where everybody you get over a line, you win the entire pot. There's no share of invested votes, and this fundamentally cripples us as a society to develop individual democracy amongst our own, and de-incentivizes people to vote. It really does. It massively de-incentivizes people to vote. And I fundamentally have a problem with the first past the post system. And in essence, Muslims should engage to the minimum of lesser evils. Vote Labour to get rid of because the current Tories are absolutely psychotically evil. And democracy is so thinly veiled, and it's not a perfect system, the Caliphate is, but I don't think we're going to get another one of those until the Mahdi comes. Fair enough. No, I always answer as, why do you think we should invest to make sure that we have more power so to secure our rights to exist? I have never been invited to Jordan's lives. If Jordan wanted me to come on his live, I'd happily come. I've never been invited to Jordan's lives. I would have been. It'd be a pleasure. To answer the question, I think we need to build more investments. We need to be, where, as brutal as it is to say this, Black Widow, we need to build more businesses. We need our sisters to build their home businesses. We need our brothers to work their 2-3 jobs. We need to carry on the path we're on. Because the more businesses we take over as the Ummah, the more financial clout we have, which allows us buying power inside our Ummah. I would love to go to one of Jordan's live streams to answer the question, Joe Baz, but I've never been invited. And I don't know when he's scheduled to come on, to be quite honest. We always seem to cross wires on scheduling. So, in a nutshell, I would say continue what we're doing. Continue building our communities, our families. Continue giving non-interest loans to your brothers so that they can build their businesses. Yeah, wallahi, we do need the Mahdi. A deal with Israel. That's a whole different story, that one. He's got a lot of work on his plate when he gets here. He got a lot of work on his plate. A'udhu billahi shaitanir regime. In a nutshell, I fundamentally stand by the point that we must acceptably point that our society needs to be built. So we need to keep building homes, schools, building masjids, building more and more for the British Ummah. and financially gaining wealth and positions. And we need to be unafraid to build up our own communities and make loans to other Muslims who want to build businesses. To give halal loans is very, very difficult. That's one of the things that's holding us back. The rich parts of the British Muslim community need to be willing to loan to the ambitious poor parts of the British Muslim community. And if they do, the money river beats amongst itself. And we start building and building and building, and we go up and up and up. And as a society, that's where we start getting political and economical clout. Because whether we like it or not, in a nutshell, don't vote for me. I'm a Prime Minister. You're terrified of that, sister. I would have been love a Shaitana regime. I fundamentally stand by my views. We need to build more into our communities. We need to invest more into our communities, both education, time, businesses. We must encourage our sons and daughters to be investing in building a future for our children and our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren. And we must think that way forward. And in doing so, we insulate ourselves. He has to deal with they, them, feminists. Thank you, Lily. Much appreciated. No, thank you. So, in all honesty, Black, White, what our duty is to continue building the Ummah. Build businesses, build communities, support each other, back each other economically, supportively. And if we've got our occasional Labour MPs who will be, the socialistically minded, we vote for them. Don't vote for Muslims who are in the Tory party. They have proven to be the snakes in the grass. We vote for the Labour ones because they're pipe dreamers and think that they can change the fruity squad. And we don't vote for the Tory ones because they're crazy. Have you heard of MPAC UK? No, I have not, Joe. I will give that a look. But in essence, I fundamentally stand by my views that the political system inside the UK requires the Muslim community to continue building and investing amongst themselves and supporting each other and being willing to put out into the limb to protect Muslim businesses. I mean, I think one of the things that draws us on a problem is our influential, wealthy parts of our community do not want to invest in small to medium businesses because they're frightened of losing their money and their position. And I know it's taken generations for us to get here, but we must support each other. We must be willing to support each other and leaning out to your fellow Muslims across the country. I mean, if I had the money, I'd be investing up and down the country in all the tech businesses. If my YouTube gets to the point where I can make money on it, I will be going out making sure British Muslim communities have what they need, that startup companies are given. This is one of the fundamental things that I feel that anybody in the influential zone should be investing in, especially as a Muslim. I don't watch it, Dr. Zeus. I don't watch soaps. I don't watch a great deal of telly, Dr. Zeus. I read. A'udhu billahi minash shaitani regime. That's why when Jibreel said to our Prophet, peace be upon him, read, that really resonated with me, because I do. It's a kind of resonation, and it's old-fashioned. People don't like reading books anymore. I don't get that. I fundamentally don't get that. I don't get why people don't want to. Let me show you. Let me give you an example. I'm going to take you into my library. Yeah, this is an indication of how much you're going to get a privilege. Okay. Just so you're all aware, those are my books. Those are my books. Mountains of them. 2 entire bookshelves of the damn things. So I'm a reading person. My telly's tiny. And I'm so old-fashioned, I've even got books on top of my DVD collection. Yeah, I still have a DVD collection. That's quite terrifying. Yes, I do use the exercise bike, if anyone's wondering. I'm not an entirely fat kid. But like I said, I've got literally 2 libraries of books, vast amount of books, and I'd read more than I do anything else. So like I said, Joe, I'm not a TV person. I'm not someone who sits and watches movies on a regular basis. I may see the occasional film. Like, I want to see Doctor Strange and the Madnesses because I like Marvel. Let's be fair, I really do. Thor: Love and Thunder, I think, was a waste of time. Fundamentally, I wasn't a massive fan of Love and Thunder. To be Lama Shaitana regime. I thought it was a bit too woke, and you could see it constantly creeping in. Though they're being a bit more careful nowadays. They're being a bit more devious with that, simply because they know that there's a backlash from movie viewers. So no, I don't watch EastEnders. I don't watch soap operas. I've watched a couple of episodes of Suits recently. I've been quite intrigued by that on Netflix. But I'm not a massive person of sitting down and binge watching programs in general. It's not my cup of tea. That's why I'm on social media so much, talking, debating, arguing, and verbally fighting with people. I remember a quote from one sister, Lily, if she's still in the room, of, "You need a wife, Mr. Lockwood, maybe two, and then you get off social media." I don't know if she remembers saying that to me. I almost balked when she said I need a second wife. Oh, yeah, and if you haven't, go buy Scotty Lamzood. It's amazing. It's amazing. So it's been 36 minutes. This has actually been a lot longer than I thought it would be today. It's been a good live. I think I've covered all the points I wanted to. Alhamdulillah. And I'm very, very pleased about what's been going on here so far. Anybody got any last minute questions before I slide off and do my afternoon prayer? Any last minute questions? And if you haven't seen it, watch this video so you can see my my library. I haven't done a full tour of the house, I must be honest. Comparative religion, so do I, Zeus. If you haven't read Nietzsche, and if you were intelligent enough to read Nietzsche, a library tour. Hell no, Black White. I don't want to be judged by the books I've got. I want to be loved. There's a lot of fantasy, a lot of sci-fi, a hell of a lot of horror up there. I do not need two wives. You are absolutely out of your tree, sister. I don't even know if I want one wife. I do have a very my Irish accent only comes out when I'm around my cousins. I've said that many, many times. If I'm to be honest, my accent doesn't really reverberate unless I'm around my cousins. It does build language and writing skills. I've written a book, contrary to people's belief. I have actually written a book. I am not doing a library tour, Black White. My books are embarrassing. I've got Salam alaikum, Ray and Jan for Indonesia. Alhamdulillah, welcome to my live. I would love to visit Indonesia. I think that's one of the few Muslim countries I would like to see. And go through the city of Jakarta. I've heard a great deal about it because I used to work in the chefing business. I've met a lot of Indonesian chefs when we were in North Africa. So it was one of those experiences where the way that they talked about their homeland and how the food is and how people are really accepting of Muslims from all over the world. And I thought, well, that'd be interesting to probably visit one day. And then I joked and said if I was Muslim. No. Sister Lily, I'm going to find your future husband and put him in the ground. A'udhu billahi shaitan regime. I'm going to poof, poof, poof. Tell him to keep his woman from saying crazy things. I do not need 4 wives. I'm not even sure I want one. One mother-in-law will be enough stress for me. Thank you very much. My beard is still black. My hair is still my beautiful natural colour. I do not need going grey anytime soon. Got none of this stress, none of these crazy kids. Salam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome. But no, I would very much like to visit Indonesia and see Jakarta. Am I pronouncing that right? Is it Jakarta? I'm terrible at the pronunciation. I'm terrible at any pronunciation that isn't English. And then once upon a time, I used to speak Gaelic. Yeah, Jakarta, I think, under the president of Joko Widodo. A Tale of Two Cities. Apparently you're planning a new capital. I'm not aware of that. Sits on the northern coast of the island of Java, historical mix of cultures. I sound like who? Lee Mack. I have no idea who that is, Joe. Oh, excuse me. Since I have 7 of you in the room, could I ask and beg a small favour from you all? I do not want to turn my hair grey, thank you, sister. But whilst I've got you in the room, could you all take up time to actually look at my prophet mini page, where I'm doing about the prophets of Isa. I've done the prophet Adam, and I'm going to be doing the prophets. And I would deeply appreciate if you would like and share them if you think they'll be beneficial to people, and also possibly write a comment. It's just because realistically it will beat the algorithm and allow my page to grow. Tarmac. What do you want about Tarmac? So, I mean, if you've got the opportunity at some point today or the next couple of days, if you could look at the ones of my prophets videos. Who is Lee Mack? Who is Lee Mack? I don't know who he's referring to. I was only born in Belfast, guys. I wasn't raised there. I was raised in the inner London. In Peckham, darling. I rolled out of Peckham. I'll shank you, mate. All right, my beautiful people. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I will speak to you all soon, and if you can get the chance, I would deeply appreciate it if you would make comments and like and share to those who you think it's available to my prophets about Isa and my prophets Adam and my prophet page. I've got its own stab now because I'm doing each prophet down the days. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's a pleasure having you all. Thank you for coming for my live. It's always lovely to see you, Sister Lily.